Everyone, welcome to our next video on chapter 2 of Is Matter Around Us Pure of class 9 NCERT. So in this lecture, we are going to discuss about the different types of mixtures. We understood what are mixtures and substances, atoms and molecules in the first video. But in this lecture, we will be understanding what are the types of mixtures. So without wasting much time, let's get directly into it. Broadly classifying mixtures, we have three types of mixtures. And these are the solution, suspension and a colloidal solution. So what is a solution, what is a suspension and what is a colloidal solution? Let's understand with the help of examples. So what I have drawn here are three beakers. In the three beakers we have water filled into them. In those water we are going to add something else. So in the first beaker we are going to add some salt. In the second beaker let us add some soil or sand. Let us write sand. Some sand particles, and in the third beaker let us add some milk. In this solution, in this mixture, not solution, these three have become different types of mixtures, and we can easily say that by looking at by what we see. So what you will see in this first one, number 1, let's mark this as 1, 2 and 3. So in number 1, what you will see after you add some salt to a glass of water or a beaker of water, what you will observe is the particles of salt are not visible anymore and the water seems very clear, just like it was before. So there is not much change in what you can see. In number 2, if you add some sand to water, you will see that the particles of sand are completely visible and is not at all close to what it is like in number 1. In number 3, if you add milk, you will see the color has changed. Obviously, milk is white, so the whole solution, this whole mixture in number 3 will become white. So we will not be able to see what is on the other side. This is because of the characteristic of milk. So now these are the visual differences that we see. We can understand from what we observe. Now what is actually going on inside? In case of number 1, where the salt particle is added to the beaker, what happens here is size of the salt particles are extremely small. Not only in case of salt particles, anything that you can dissolve in water generally has a very small size. So salt here has a very small size, and as a result of this very small size, it can easily solubilize or dissolve in the water solution or the water solvent. As it is able to dissolve, along with it, another thing that happens is all the particles of salt are evenly distributed throughout the water. By even distribution, I mean equal number of particles of salt will be present everywhere throughout the solution, throughout the water. So like particles will be evenly distributed and there will be no region where there is more or where there is less. So they will be evenly distributed throughout the medium. And such type of distribution, where you have even distribution of particles throughout the medium, is called a homogeneous solution or a homogeneous mixture. So here we have water and we have salt, and salt is dissolved uniformly throughout the mixture. So this is called a homogeneous mixture. And since the particle size is very small and also it is a homogeneous mixture, this one will be called a solution. So mixture number 1 is called solution. So how do you define solution? Solution is a homogeneous mixture of particles. As simple as that. A homogeneous mixture of particles is called a solution. If the particles are dissolved uniformly throughout the medium, then it will be called a homogeneous mixture. And it will be called a solution. Now moving on to number 2. What happens in number 2 if you keep this beaker standing for around 20 minutes or half an hour, suppose, means for a long amount of time you keep it standing. What you will observe is at the bottom all the sand particles will settle down, which is not observed in this one. If you keep solution number 1 mixture standing for around half an hour, 1 hour, whatever length of time you want, you will not see the salt particles coming down and settling down at the bottom. But this happens in the second case where you have sand. Now why does this happen? The first reason is that there is not uniform distribution. The particles of sand are not uniformly distributed throughout the medium. Since they settle down, it shows that they are trying to gather around at a single plot or single space. So they try to stay together at a single space. So they are not distributed evenly throughout. The second most important reason is that the size of the sand particle is very big. So since the mass is huge, it tends to come down and settle down. And this is what we call a suspension. Suspension, if we want to define it, what we can say is that a suspension is a heterogeneous mixture of particles. And in that case, the particles will be visible to the naked eye. So here sand particles are visible to our eye because the size of the particles are very big. Plus, it is a heterogeneous mixture, means the particles of sand are not evenly or uniformly distributed throughout the mixture. Now moving to the third one. Third one, in case of milk, what you will see is that the color has changed obviously because milk is white, or if you add any other substance like ink, the color will change to blue. So that is another aspect of it. Now what is the difference of number 3 from 1 and 2? Difference is that in case of this number 3, it shows some properties of number 1 and some properties of number 2. What properties of number 1 it shows? It seems like the particles are evenly distributed. It seems, which is not the case. It seems evenly distributed because they don't settle down like number 2. In case of number 2, the particles will settle down. But in case of milk, means number 3, the particles will not settle down if you keep it for a longer period of time. But at the same time, it is not a homogeneous mixture. It is a heterogeneous mixture, but the particles don't settle down. So it is something like the middle or a combination of both 1 and 2. Why does this happen? This happens because the size of the particles are not as small as this or as large as the suspension. It is somewhere in the middle. The particles of a solution generally tend to be less than 1 nanometer. 1 nanometer means 10 to the power minus 9 meter. Okay, very small size. So particles of a solution generally tend to be less than 1 nanometer. Soil particles are much bigger in size and it is clearly visible to our naked eye. But in case of milk or ink, what happens is the size is not as big as suspension, or means these particles, or the size is not as small as this particle. As a result of this one tends to be a combination of both solution and suspension. Now there is one special feature of this third number of solution, and this type of solution where the particles are heterogeneously distributed. It is not homogeneous. It is heterogeneously distributed, means you will not see it to be distributed evenly, although it seems like it. Means if you see a solution of milk, it seems like everything is even. But what happens inside is the particles form clumps. Like for example, you will find some particles gathering around here, some particles gathering around here, some here. It will be present all over the solution. It will be covering the whole solution. So it is there all over the solution, but you will find some clumps, some particles coming together and staying in one spot. So as a result of this, there is not uniform distribution. Although they are covering the whole area, there is not uniform distribution. It seems like something like if you take a bowl and add some cereal to it. Suppose you add any type of cereal to a bowl, and in this bowl, suppose you add some cereals and you keep the cereals like this. You clump them into a heap in one position. Then you place some here randomly, and then you again make a heap of another part. Again you have some here, again you make a heap around here. So these heaps are doing, although it is covering the whole plate or whole bowl, even at that time their concentration is not, means their distribution is not same. In these portions they have more amount of cereal, whereas in these portions it has less number of cereal. So that is the exact case what happens in colloidal solution, and that is what it makes it a heterogeneous mixture. Now there is one special feature, as I said. Before mentioning the special feature, what is the name of this type of solution? This type of solution is a colloidal solution. colloidal solution does, if you pass a beam of light through the colloidal solution, that's when the particles become visible. And this is seen very clearly during whenever the sun rays come through the window or through the ventilators. You can see that the dust particles are visible through that path of light. So whenever sun rays come in, you can see the dust particles. So actually what you are seeing is the ray of light coming in through the ventilator because of the dust particles. So what do the dust particles actually do? Because air is also a colloidal solution. Okay, so what do the dust particles do? The particles of dust particles are such that they can scatter light. Scatter means bend the direction of light, disperse light. So if light is coming towards this, it will be bent into different directions. Okay, so this is called scattering of light. You are scattering the light. So what dust particles do, whenever light comes in through the ventilators, there are dust particles, millions and millions of dust particles are there, and the light after hitting the dust particles scatters out. And that scattering makes the path of the light visible. That is exactly what happens in all types of colloidal solutions. So if you take a solution of milk and you pass a strong beam of light through it, you will see that the path of the light becomes visible. So if you take a torch, pass the light through this, you will see that when the light passes through this, you can see this region in the milk. This region becomes clearly visible in the milk. You can try it at your home, or you can take some ink or milk and try to pass light through it using the flash of your mobile, and you will see that the path of the light is visible in the milk. That is because milk is a colloidal solution. Now if you pass the light through the solution or any suspension, this thing will not occur. Now the question is why? For this scattering to occur, the particles must have a minimum amount of size. So it should not be as small as the solution, and it should not be as large as the suspension. Because if it is as large as the suspension, the particles will block the light. They will not allow the light to scatter, they will completely block the light. As a result, if you take a torch and want to pass the light through it, you will see that the light is not coming out of that side because the sand particles have blocked the light. In case of solution, if you pass the light will come out, but the path will not be visible. This is because the particles are so small, they can't even scatter. The light just flow by them and the light is not scattered because the particle size is too small to scatter the light. Colloidal solution have found out a way to have something in the middle, a moderate amount of size that is perfect for bending light or scattering light. And that is why in case of colloidal solution, you can see the scattering of light. And this scattering of light by colloidal solution is called the Tyndall effect. So they show the Tyndall effect. Tyndall effect means this scattering of light by colloidal particles is called the Tyndall effect. So now we have seen some of the aspects of solution, suspension and colloidal solution, and I hope you understand. Just to rewind everything, solution is a homogeneous mixture of particles. All the particles will be evenly scattered throughout the medium. In suspension, it is a heterogeneous mixture. It will not be distributed throughout, it will settle down at some portion of the solution of the mixture. In case of colloidal solution, there is heterogeneous. It is a heterogeneous mixture, but it will cover out all the portion of the mixture, but it will still be heterogeneous because of these clumpings. So the distribution is not even, but it covers the whole part. But the particle sizes are different. For solution, it is extremely small. For suspension, it is large. And for colloidal solutions, these are moderate size. So this one is a homogeneous mixture, this one is a heterogeneous mixture, this one is also a heterogeneous mixture, plus this one shows one special effect called the Tyndall effect. This is about solution, suspension and colloidal solution. Now let us go back to solution because we have some other stuff that we need to discuss on solution. So let's see what are those. See, in solution there are actually two things that come together. One is called the solute and the other is called the solvent. So we have a solute, one is the solvent. I think it is known to you. Suppose you take salt and water. So water will be the solvent. So in this case, water is the solvent and salt is the solute. So the medium in which you are dissolving something is called the solvent, and whatever you are dissolving is called the solute. So solute and solvent are the two parts of a solution. Now we need to find the concentration of a solution. So what does concentration mean? Concentration means the amount of solute dissolved in the solution. It is comparative. So what do I mean by that? So concentration of a solution can be the amount of solute per unit of solution, or the same thing, amount of solute per unit solvent. Two things here. Try to understand this. Concentration can be expressed in two ways, either amount of solute per unit of solution or amount of solute per unit of solvent. That means I am trying to find out how much salt I have added in the whole solution or how much salt I have added in the whole solute. To make this even more clear, suppose you take 10 mg of salt and you take 5 ml of water. Okay, so you are trying to dissolve 10 mg of salt in 5 ml of water. So you know that whenever you dissolve something in something, suppose you dissolve some salt in the water, obviously the volume will increase because you are mixing two different things, so the volume needs to increase. So suppose the volume, this is just an example, this will not happen in real life, means this much change, these numbers are assumptions, okay. So suppose after adding 10 mg of salt in 5 ml of water, the final volume becomes, these two combine to become 6 ml of water. What are these? This is the amount of solute. This is the amount of solvent. This is the amount of the solution. So concentration can be calculated in two ways. First one is amount of solute per unit of solution. That means I can find out that the concentration can be amount of solute per unit of solution. This is the solution. So that means 10 mg of salt was present in 6 ml of water. Okay. So if I get the answer, it will be something around 5 by 3. So it is 5 by 3 mg per ml. This is one concentration. Or we can find, or concentration can be calculated as amount of solute per unit of solvent. That is 10 mg of salt was mixed in 5 ml of water. So this will be 2 mg per ml. These are two different concentrations. This value and this value are two different concentrations because we are finding it in comparison to two different things. First we are taking the solute, the amount of solute, and we are taking the solution, that is after mixture whatever the total volume has become, and we are finding the ratio of that. In the second case, what I am doing, I am taking the amount of solute and the amount of solvent. So the answers will be different. So now generally what we try to do is find out the first case, that is amount of solute per unit of solution. That is what we generally find out, means this one. If you are asked to find out the amount of solute per unit of solvent, then you will use this one. Okay, so it is very simple. It is the formula. If I have to write the formula, it is concentration will be equal to amount of solute by amount of solution, which is the most general form, or we can write amount of solute by amount of solvent. Both are correct. Another thing that I need to add to this is sometimes we find the concentration in terms of percentage, and percentage will be by volume or sorry, mass by volume. So what do I mean by that? Let's write it here. Volume by volume or mass by volume. That means concentration can be expressed in two ways. The percentage of concentration, okay? This is percentage concentration. Percentage concentration can be expressed as mass of solute by volume of solvent into 100, because we are trying to find the percentage, so into 100. Or we can write volume of solute by volume of solvent. This is mass by volume and this is volume by volume. So these are some of the ways you can calculate the concentration. It depends on the requirement, means whatever you are asked to find. In the question, if you are asked to find the concentration as mass by volume, then you will use the mass of the solute and the volume of the solvent. And if you are asked to find out the concentration as volume by volume, then you will find volume of solute by volume of solvent. So all in all, the concentration means how much solute you have added to the solution. That is the main thing. If you take a glass of water and you keep on adding the salt to it, so concentration means how much salt you have actually added compared to the amount of the water. So that is what is the meaning of concentration. If you add more amount of salt, that means the concentration will be more. If you add less amount of salt, the concentration will be less. And less concentrated solutions are called dilute solutions. I hope you have heard about dilute solutions. Dilute solution means where the solvent is more and the solute is less. And concentration means the solvent is present in good amount, means a good amount of solute has been added to a solvent. So that is about solution, suspension, colloidal particles, its effect called Tyndall effect, and how to calculate the concentration of the solution. So concentration, the formulas are written here, you will find it in your book as well. So that is all about the explanation of these three. In our next video, we will try to find out how we can separate particles from different types of mixtures. So until then, cheers.